Paul is one of the most empathetic and loyal and loving leaders that this organization could ever have.
Paul is extraordinarily humble.
The word that comes to mind is thoughtful.
Incomparable wit.
Brilliant.
And visionary.
He's a unicorn.
He cares about people. He cares about justice.
He's just kind.
I was working at a very small law firm in Baltimore, and my boss was on the board of what was then Trial Lawyers for Public Justice, or TLPJ. When I discovered that there was a job opening at TLPJ, they already really knew me pretty well, and so I was able to successfully pitch them that they should bring me on. In 1997, TLPJ was a much smaller organization. I think when I joined, there were 12 employees total. The organization largely was devoted to attacking bad class action settlements. Over time, what I began to see was that corporations were writing these fine print contracts that people didn't read or understand that were simply eliminating the right to bring class actions. And so these forced arbitration clauses were really just wiping away a lot of cases and making it possible for corporations to cheat people with complete impunity. If people understood the rights that they were supposedly giving up, tons of them would be angry and they would force change. So we have put an incredible amount of time and resources into trying to raise people's awareness around forced arbitration and a number of other issues.
Paul had an encyclopedic knowledge of the case law surrounding the issues of arbitration. Nobody is better equipped to handle those issues. I got to see Paul argue in the Supreme Court a couple of years ago, and it was one of the highlights of my career.
I remember looking at him and listening to him and thinking, I gotta really up my game. I mean, this guy's
You've never seen anyone as great as Paul Bland in the courtroom. I remember that that particular Supreme Court argument went down in history as being the one Supreme Court argument that had more laughter than any other, more laughter recorded on the transcript. I always thought, isn't that fitting of Paul, right? Isn't that fitting of him?
Paul and his team as the thought leaders on those issues is just an incredible value to the consumer law community.
He stands up for what he believes in. He fights for it. He fights hard, fights fairly. But he is a strong and unwavering advocate for the things he believes in.
I was a huge believer in the mission of the organization. I thought that it did incredibly important work and it was absolutely crucial to a lot of its clients. I think that the organization was struggling a little bit in several ways. I put myself in for the position because I believed that I could be a part of helping sort of heal the organization and helping it grow.
Paul took over leadership at a time that, in retrospect, was really challenging.
Paul had his own ideas and was very concerned about making sure that public justice was equipped not just to deal with the issues of the past, but more appropriately was focused on the future.
He was the right person for that time because he had the respect and trust of the staff.
Being executive director of public justice is a tough job because you're working with experts in a variety of fields. So you're working with some of the smartest lawyers in the country, and you have to be able in each of those categories to be an effective partner to them, and Paul is able to do that.
He is a very thoughtful and considered and deep thinker.
One great achievement in Paul's tenure was the Strategic Directions initiative.
It's 16 pages long. It's extremely thoughtful. I think it helps crystallize and bring together a really thoughtful, clever approach to how we can have the biggest impact that we can.
That work was very staff-driven, and Paul was an integral part of that.
I think the impact is that public justice is now a very strong and thriving organization and has moved into the future.
All you have to do is look at the organization on his first day as executive director and today, The staff size has doubled. The budget has doubled. But behind that story is a story about diversifying the support for the organization. He has been laser focused on growth, but simultaneously the sustainability of that growth.
And I think one of the real tributes to him is where we are today, which is also his stepping away and a new leadership coming in.
And he managed to attract so many people and make them passionate about it, make us believe that we all could do something about the most important problems facing the country. And he made everyone feel like they had something to offer in the fight.
That's who Paul is. It's baked into his DNA, and he's never going to change.